This conference will now be recorded.
Uh,
Hi all, can you hear me?
Very.
Yeah. And are you able to see my screen?
yes.
Just give me a second here. Sorry, actually it was midnight 4 o'clock and I was not able to wake up. Okay, let's continue. No worries. Okay, so see here. Yesterday I think we were discussing about the model and then we were discussing about the tables. Is that right? And we have seen, I told you we need to do a full build and then we will get it. Now if I go to the model management and then we have something called update model parameters. Here, what's the model name we have created? ICICI. Okay, so let me select ICICI, click on the next button. Can you see this? Now we got the reference packages. Okay, so please remember, whenever you're not getting these reference packages, it will throw the error and it will let you know what should be done. And in this case, if you do the full build, okay, if you do the full build, automatically you're going to get all those models. Okay, done. Now the next step. Let's move to the next step. See here, I have used ICICI Bank and I have created ICICI table 1 and I told you in the properties you need to set synchronized database on build to true. Click on the OK button and let's do a rebuild and check. I want to do a rebuild and then I want to check whether it is synchronizing to the database and the table is getting created or not. Okay, it says best practice check started, best practice check completed. You can see the step now. Database synchronization started. What does this database synchronization do? It is going to synchronize whatever the
SQL.
database objects that we create in Dynamics 6. It will get synchronized with database, the AXDB. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was saying like it will create the table in SQL.
Oh, great. Okay, let it finish. So please remember, I did not create any fields in this. Okay, because you can see everything is empty now. I want to show you what happens when the synchronization happens for an empty table, which is why I did not create any fields yet. Okay, let's wait for a second. Let it finish. Okay. Now, if I come down, it says database synchronization completed. Means whatever the tables or whatever the database objects that we have created, they got synchronized with the database and the build completed. Okay. Now let me go to the database and then AXDB. Okay. And then, okay, let me reconnect. I think, or you can also refresh. Okay. Here you can see the refresh button. You can reconnect or refresh. That's up to you. Whatever you want to do, you can do that because it will take a fraction of a second or so. So, okay. It does not matter. Go to AXDB and then tables. Okay. Now on these tables, let's go and check whether our ICI table is available or not. Okay. DBO dot ICI. Oh, can you see this? We got this table. Okay, that's good. Now let me expand and check the columns here. Okay, can you see this? There are 4 fields: data area ID, partition, rec ID, and rec version. Okay, you can see these 4 fields here. Okay, so from where we did get these 4 fields? Okay, just give me a second. Okay, from where we are getting all these 4 fields? These are the standard fields for each and every table we create. Okay, for each and every table we create, depending upon the type of table, this field is going to change. Okay, so whenever we are working with the data, okay, so whenever we are working with the data, so what are the different types of data that we can work with? First one is called master data. Second one is called transactional data, and the third one is called reference data. Okay, reference data in X. Okay, I told you in the beginning of the sessions, I think it might be in the first or second session. Okay, X is going to support multiple companies, multiple currencies, or n number of currencies, something like that. Okay, so how it is going to support multiple companies? To support the multiple companies, X will add a field called data area ID. Okay, this data area ID is used to uniquely identify a company in X. Okay, let's say if you consider, okay, Tata Enterprise. Okay, in this Tata Enterprise, we have groceries, we have automobiles, and we have many other things. Okay, now let's say if they want to switch to the dynamic CX application, do you think whatever they are going to use, all this should be in a single company? All this should be in a single company. If they set all this in a single company, what will happen here? Obviously identification would be very difficult. Okay, so what they will do is, if it is a bigger enterprise, it will be split up into multiple companies. Okay, to do that split, we are going to use something called data area ID. And similarly, sometimes what will happen is, some small companies, 3 or 4 small companies will group up, and then they want to use dynamic CX. If they want to use dynamic CX in that fashion, what they need to do? They will purchase the dynamic CX. That is well and good. After purchasing the dynamic CX, they want to have their own data. Okay, because whenever you are speaking about the data, either these 3 types of data, what you will say? There are 2 ways. Data can be shared. Data can be shared or data should be private. Okay. Now, for example, let's say Airtel, Vodafone, Idea. These are the three mobile companies. Okay, they want to use dynamic CX now. So, what kind of data can be shared across them, and what kind of data should be private for each of them? What kind of data can be shared? Okay, let me ask you. Let me put it this way. First one, three of them will have the customers. Customer data. The customer data of Airtel can be shared with with Vodafone. Do you agree with that? What do you say? What do you say? Customer data of Airtel can be shared with Vodafone or not?
No.
No.
Why? You can share it, no? What happens if you share? Nowadays, you might be getting calls. Even if you're on Airtel now, you will get calls from Jio saying that if you convert to Jio, you will get this offer, that offer, or if it is Airtel, they will say Vodafone. If it is Vodafone, like this, you're getting calls nowadays. Okay, but the company data which belongs to customers must not be shared. So what they will do? We will create three companies here, one for Airtel, and then Vodafone, and then Idea, and we will use a field called data area ID. Okay, this data area ID is not going to be set by us, that is set by the system. Now, second information, customer address. Okay, what does the customer address contain? City, state, something like that. What do you think? Can the data of the customer address, wherein it does not contain the house number, okay, the details of the house number, can it be shared or not? What do you think? What do you think here? Please tell me. Can it be shared or not? What do you think?
No, it should not be shared. Address.
Oh, okay. You're saying if I ask you address, I'll say some Amirpet, and I will say some Hyderabad, Telangana. You're saying this information of the address cannot be shared. Everyone knows this, yeah? Why do you think it cannot be shared? I mean to say customer address in the sense, okay, let me make it out this way. Address, and then here you have house number separately. Okay, if you say house number in the customers table and address is different, nah, address you can share it because everyone
Yeah.
will know the
Allow
street
it to-
name, country, and everything. Exactly. In ACE, you have the logistics address. Okay, so here address data can be shared. So if it is shared, whatever we need to do is, if you go to the table, there will be a property called save data per company. Can you see this? You need to set it to no. If you set it to no, what will happen? The data area ID field, the standard data area ID field from the table will be removed. Okay, and this is about data area ID well and good. Now, the second field is called record ID or rec ID. This rec ID is used to uniquely identify a record in a table. Okay, what is the purpose of rec ID? The record ID is used to uniquely identify a record in a table. Okay, and then third field, we have seen something called rec version. As the name indicates, it is a rec version, record version. What is the version of the record? Each and every time you insert a record, the rec version will be 1. Okay. Once you update the record, it will generate a random number. Okay. This random number is generated from the kernel. So we don't know how many times it got updated. Please remember that random number is generated by the kernel. Might be someone who wrote the kernel might know how many times the record got updated, but we don't know. Please remember that, because for rec version, they are not doing an increment 1, 2, 3, 4, something like that. Okay, for the first time it will be 1. From second time it will generate a random number. Okay, please remember. And then the last field is called partition. Okay, so sometimes we will have a company, and on that company the data will be very high. Okay, let's say this is one of the case, and in another case, in the same company, they want to split the data into 2. Okay, for example, let's say if you have some 10 songs, in that 10 songs, what you will do, you will split them into devotional, you will split them into something else. Okay, melody or whatever it can be. You are going to split it up in your memory card based on the type of the song. Similarly, based on the data necessity, they are going to split the data into multiple partitions. If you want to do that, we are going to use this partition. Okay, but actually up to AX 2012, the partition can be set up from the front end, whereas in Dynamics 365 they removed that. Okay, they made partition as a dead field. Might be in future they want to remove this partition, but currently it's a dead field. If you want to create new partitions, you can do that from the back end, but not from the front end. Please remember. Okay, this is about the standard fields that we have. This is about the standard fields that we have in a table. Okay, please remember. Okay, now let's come back. Okay, now you know about the table, and what is the purpose of a table? The table is used to store the data. It might be any information. Now you know what are the standard fields. The next step would be creating a field. How to create a field? It's very simple. Right click on the new string. Okay, I want to call this field as simply name, and then I want to create one more table, new, and then new item. Click on the add new item, go to data model, select a table, and you can call it as ICI table 2. This is my second table. Click on the add button, it will add ICI table 2 for us. 1 second, it's adding. Okay, here as well I want to add a new field. I am adding a new same string field here. I will go to properties. I will call this field as name. Oh, this is also a name field. I don't want to change anything. Let it be there. Okay, and then now we are done with 2 tables. Okay, if you want to have the similar kind of tables, simply you have an option called duplicate. Okay, you have an option called duplicate. Where do you get the duplicate option? If you go to Application Explorer, and then if you go to ICI, you can go to Data Model, Tables. Please remember, you'll get duplicate option from here. Can you see this? Duplicate in project. It will create a copy for this. It's creating, done. Okay. Similarly, if you want to create one more, right click and then click on duplicate in project. Done. This is how we are going to duplicate. Okay. Now let me call this as, let me change the name. If you right click, you will have the rename. You can call this as ICI table 3, and I will call this as rename, and I will call this as ICI table 4. Okay, done. Now we have how many tables? 4 tables with the same field name. Good. Now what happened is, okay, the initial size of the string here, the name here is, if you go to properties, you can see that 10. Okay. the same name field, it has in 4 tables. The size of the field is 10, but the customer requirement has changed. He told the size of the name is not 10, 20. Okay, what is the size of the name field? The size of the name field is, size of name is, should not be 10, it should be 20. How many places do we need to change? How many places do we need to change? How many tables do we have now? How many tables do we have? 4 tables. How many places do we need to change? Hey, please speak out here, make it interactive. Okay, 4 places. So let's say now it is 4 places. So you told 4, that is good. Now instead of 4, let's say I have 10,000 tables. How many places do we need to change? In all the 10,000 places we need to change. Is that right? Yeah. In all the 10,000 places we need to change. Is it easy or difficult? Updating the value in 10,000 places, is it easy or difficult? It will be difficult, obviously, because you need to change 10,000 places. So there's a possibility of forgetting. So in this kind of scenario, because we have created a field with the primitive data type, is that right? We have created a field with the primitive data type. So if I need to change that, I need to change that in all the places. I need to go to each table and then I need to update the size to 20. Is that right? I need to go to each table and then update the size to 20. Okay, so this is one way of creating the field. And there is another way. There is another way. Let's see that within a minute. Okay, let's see that. Now I have changed in all the 4 places. How much time did it take? It might have taken nearly 3 or 4 minutes. Okay, the next way is right click on the project, click on the add new item, and you need to go to the data types and select EDT string, the extended data type. I will call this as ICI test name, okay, because I don't want to use it further, so I'm calling test ICI test name. Click on the add button. It will add a new EDT for us. Okay. If you want to create a field out of EDT, don't worry, remaining properties I will go on later on. I want to take this EDT. I want to drag and drop it here. Okay. Before that, I will open this and I will go to the properties. You can see the size. The size is set to 50. Okay, I'm setting the default size as 50. And now in the ICI table 1, drag and drop the field, go to the properties, call it as father name. This is one way. And ICI table 3, you can create a new string field if you want to do that. You can call it as father name. And here you can see the property called extended data type. And you can apply ICI test name here. This is the second way. Okay, if you click on this, it will show the list. Okay, it will show the list. You can select from the list. This is the second way. And the next, again, I want to drag and drop the test name here. I will call it as father name in this case as well. There should be no spaces when you are giving the names. Please remember that. And drag and drop ICI test name properties. You can call it as father name. So done. Okay. Now it's done. And I mean all the places I have done. So you can see now wherever you have the father name, the string size is 50 and it is disabled. You can see the difference. Here I can't edit and here I can edit. Okay. Now let's say tomorrow morning the client came back and told me, oh, you have set the father name size to 50, but the size should be increased to 60. Okay. Now what you can do is go to ICI test name, properties, instead of 50, update it to 60. Done. Let me save. Let me go to ICI table 4 and check. 60 here. Good. Oh, 60 here. Here as well it is 60 here. Can you see this? Here as well it is 60. So this is the benefit of working with extended data types. The purpose of extended data type is if you have a requirement wherein you need to change at n number of places at once, the properties of the fields, if you want to change in n number of fields at once, then you can use a type called extended data type. Extended data type is nothing but it's the extension of the primitive data type, because extended data type is again created using the primitive data type, but the set of properties are fixed to the extended data type. This is point number 1. And wherever you apply that extended data type, the properties will be inherited. Okay, the properties will be taken up by the particular field. Okay, this is what is extended data type. As per the AX best practice, we should always use extended data type only whenever you are creating a fields. Whenever you are creating a fields, you need to use extended data types. It is mandatory. Please do remember that. Okay. So now your technical design is going to contain these details as well. Okay. Here you have the name. We need to create a new entity for this. You need to call it ICI name. And then what is the size? Let me call it as a 60. 60 is the size of a name. And then I can use ICI for the name. The size can be 60. Or if you want to keep name unique everywhere, you can remove this. You can call it as ICI name. And date of birth. Date of birth. Okay. So see here, there will be few places. You can use generic extended data types. Okay, generic means you will create one entity and you will use it everywhere. Okay, it's similar to your primitive data type. You will use it everywhere. Okay, but that depends on the requirement again, because in all the places, if the customer has the requirement to show the date of birth as date, month, year. Okay, let me write it down here. The customer requirement is in all the places where there is date, you want to show DD, MM, YY. Then you can create one generic date and you can use it. One generic EDT date type, you can use it. Now this is not the requirement. The customer told if it is date of birth, it should show DD, MM, YY. If it is date of account creation, it should show DD, MM. If it is date of updation, then it should show DD, MM, YY. And then if he wants to show the time, he wants to show the time in HH, MM, hours, minutes, something like this. So based on the requirement again, we will prefer creating the EDT. Okay. So in this case, what I will do is I will create a EDT called ICI date of birth. Okay, I want to show you how it is going to work. And then I have the mobile number. Mobile number, you need to think whether it contains the numbers or the characters. If it is going to contain numbers and alphanumeric numbers and characters, then you need to use string itself. There is no other option. So you need to call ICI mobile number. Address. We'll come back to this later on. Okay. And then email ID. Or let me do one thing. Instead of calling it as a address, let me call it as building name. I will call this as ICI building name, and date, no character number of characters. This one you can make it 15 characters. Building name, you can make it Remember the number of characters. Okay, whenever you are working with these characters, na, I am writing it, but it is very important to check those number of characters that will define the size of your data. Okay, for example, if I take this one, let me show you within a minute. Email ID, let me take 60 characters. Occupation, let me take some 20 characters. Gender, this is a base enum. Okay, this is a base enum. We will create a enum further. PAN card, you can take 15 characters. Okay, now actually what will happen is whenever the developers are going to decide this, they will give the high size. Yeah, they will give 255 characters, something like that. Okay, so each character is how many bytes? 1 byte. Okay, each character is 1 byte or 2 bytes. It will range from 0 to 255. 0 to 0 to FF means 1 byte. Okay, and if you are going for ANSI or something else, then it will become 2 bytes. Okay, it depends on whatever the type you are using. Here 60 characters means 60 bytes. 60 plus 60, 120, and the date of birth is going to take nearly 8 bytes. Okay, I want to calculate 8 bytes for it. 128, 128 plus 50, 178, 178 plus 10, 188 plus 5, 183, 180, 243, 240, 263, 268, 278. Okay, so if you want to transfer one record, okay, so you can see here, if you want to transfer one record, what is the size here? It's nearly 278 bytes. Okay, now let's say you want to transfer 100 records. How much it will be? 278 into 100. It will become 27800. Okay, and it's nearly this is in bytes. If you convert into KB, it will become 27 KB. It will become 27 KB. So you need to transfer 27 KB of only data. What about the, if you are using a SOAP API, you need to transfer the XML nodes, and if you consider all that, na, the size will increase like anything. And even on the database, for 100 records, if it is taking 27 KB, then what will happen? As the data is going to increase, it is going to take more and more size. It is going to occupy more and more amount in the memory. So whenever you are trying to define these sizes, mainly about the string, because others you can't modify. Whereas whenever you are trying to give the sizes to a string, you should be utmost careful. If you want to have your application to run fast, the sizes are very, very important. Okay, but frankly speaking, in this many projects, I saw they will simply map them. Okay, no one is going to take care of them, which is why the application will become slow. Okay, because most of the times people used to hear, yeah, AX is slow, AX 2012 is slow. AX 2012 is not slow. We are making it slow. Okay, by using the customizations and by defining whatever we want, we are trying to make it slow. By default, AX 2012 is fast. Okay, because of whatever the customizations, whatever the load that we are putting on the AX 2012, it is becoming slow. Please remember, if you put less load, it will be faster. If you put more load, it will become slower automatically. Okay, because there are many things. Okay, because I used to get a lot of performance issues. I will tell you a few scenarios. Okay, I want to just explain you a few scenarios. Scenario number one. Okay, scenario number one, the client, whatever the initial confirmation he has given on the number of transactions was very less. Okay, he told every hour he will get maximum of 1000. So based on that, we set up the machines. But unfortunately, when the machines were set up, the transactions has been increased to 10,000. 1000, 10,000. Observe the difference, because I will tell you how we will calculate. Okay, there is a way we calculate. Okay, the machines are calculated on the basis of number of transactions. Okay, if it is 1000 transactions for an hour, it will become divided by 60, 16 transactions per second. Okay, 16 transactions per second. Okay, and whereas if it becomes 10,000, sorry, 16 transactions per minute, it will be 166 transactions per minute. 166 transactions per minute. Did you observe the difference? The machines which will be handling 16 transactions per minute, do you think they can handle 166 transactions per minute? Not possible. Yeah. What will happen? Obviously, the machine will go down. After some point of time, the machine will say, I can't do anything. Okay, it's similar to us. If we walk for 100 kilometers now, we will get breakdown. This is also similar. The machine will say, oh, you are sending me a lot of data. I can't do anything now. This is what happens. So if this should not happen, what we need to do? The number of transactions. We need to take the data from the client correctly. This is point number one. And second issue I found is with these types. Okay. So what the people have done is they don't want to customize the code. That is well and good. They want to have the sizes. While defining the sizes, I say a name. Okay. Here they took the string EDT. Okay, let me show you. Because most of the times the people will say we will prefer standard EDTs, we will prefer standard EDTs. So everyone hears it, and what they have done, let me show you. Okay, if you type string, you can see there will be a lot of EDTs. Okay, so what they have done is the requirement is 50. Okay, they use it string 50. The requirement is 53 characters. They want to use the standard EDT, but there is no standard EDT here for 53 characters. They use it string 255. 53 to 55. Or this is one more thing, because this was with the integrations. The performance issue is with the integrations. When they are trying to send 10 records, it is taking very long time. They did not get why it is taking long time. Okay, they did not get the number of characters, the size that you overload on the machine. It is going to again revert back to us only. So whenever you are defining the sizes as well, you need to define them. Very good. Okay, define them perfectly. The size should not increase or decrease. You need to define the size as per the requirement. Okay, size should be defined as per the requirement. Please remember, this is one more thing. Okay, so this is how we will come up with the sizes, and then we will create the EDTs. And this is the purpose of extended data types. Okay. Yeah, I want to give you 15 minutes here today. Let me know if you have any questions. I will explain you more things in detail, because EDTs I just showed you what is the purpose and why we use. I will explain you about array elements, everything in detail. Don't worry. Yeah, go ahead. And they have not created a WhatsApp group here. Any questions? Okay, if there are no questions, I will end session for everyone.
Just one quick question.
Go ahead.
So, are there any kind of recommendations from Microsoft saying that this is a recommendation in terms of the configuration that you have to have for this much of data processing?
Yeah, it's there. We call it as a sizing calculator. Okay, I don't remember the exact URL, but using that sizing calculator, we can estimate. Okay.
Okay.
Because it will be based on the number of transactions that we have, and the number of, because how they will calculate is there are multiple ways. From that, the way number one, okay, if you want the rough estimation, they will use the sizing calculator. Based on the number of transactions, it will be calculated. And second thing, for detailed calculation, you need to consider the number of sales orders you are going to get every hour, and for each sales order, how many lines can be there, what is the peak hourly volume, what is the peak monthly volume. Okay, based on this the sizing will be done. For detailed calculation we will go up to the order level. Okay, whereas if it is a rough calculation, I will simply say if it is a number of transactions are this much, you can go here like this. Okay,
Do you mind forwarding any link if you have?
I will forward you. I will check that and I will forward you because I don't remember exactly where that link is. I need to check. Okay,
Okay,
I'll forward you. And in case of AX 2012 as well, you have this. There is a if you have the customer source access, you can download that. You will have the estimator PDF file. Using that, we can estimate. Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Next. Any other
And
questions?
in your table, how many tables we have to match like these relationships? Means I have to, what is the size can we define like that? Minimum size and maximum allowed characters, anything should be there.
It's not minimum size and maximum size. Okay. Because for example, currently here we are storing the name. So I'm adding 60 characters or something like that. But let's say you're going to get some data from third party. Okay. Sometimes what people will do is when they are getting the data from third party, they will try to store it in a blob storage, which is a very bad practice. Okay. Because here you have a type called memo. If you set it to memo na, or if you set the characters more than 1000 or 1200, it will directly take it as a blob storage. The field will become the blob. Okay, but that is a bad practice. We should not do that. Please remember. But people will do because in Dynamics 365 you can directly connect with the cloud here. So you can have a file storage and you can store it there. Please remember. Okay. The size is not limited. You can have any import. You can store any number of characters. Okay. It's unlimited. Based on the requirement, we will set it up.
Thank you.
Okay. 1 second. Let me send it out.
And one more thing, when we have received any requirement, technical reason, change request, what is the, based on the requirement only, we have to give the estimates in the discussions, in which way we need to convey to the client, because we are functional, so we need to move into technical means. So in the interviewers, we are asking how much
How you need to convey already I told you. Okay. And it will go on. I think it will go on for more 5 or 6 days, the same fashion. Okay. That's why I'm going back to the project example. I'm coming back to the technical design, how to design, and I'm coming back here. Whereas coming to the discussions, already I told you how you need to discuss and how they will go on. Okay. If you have any,
so I joined for the 2 class, so that's the reason I'm asking.
okay, no
I am
problem.
not recording the recordings, so that's the reason.
You can get the recordings from them, okay, because the session is directly recorded. No worries.
Yeah.
You can check with them and you can get the recording. Okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. Next, any other questions? Okay. Thanks all for the session. Let's meet again tomorrow same time. Thank you all. Bye.